viewers, my name's Cara. This is Tuesday. I just did my Tuesday Pagan Perspective video, so I wanted to do this one at the same time. As you may know if you follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, my mother was just in town for a little bit, and I had asked before she came out. I didn't get to do a video asking. I probably would have gotten a lot better response if I had. I apologize, so I'll do that next time. But I asked on Twitter and on Facebook, I said, hey, my mom's coming into town. Give us some suggestions for video topics that you'd like to see us do, questions that you'd like us to answer for a question and answer video, places we should go and vlog from, any kind of ideas, and then I was just going to pull from that. However, I didn't get any suggestions on Twitter, and I only got 2 suggestions on the Facebook, which a couple people liked it, so I knew that that was something that you guys would like us to have done. They were both topics, and the first one was Jordan wanted us to talk about enlightenment and what enlightenment means to each of us, and if we wanted to bring in references from Immanuel Kant's work, we could do that. However, my mom isn't big on philosophy, and it wasn't something that we wanted to look into and spend a lot of time doing. There was a lot going on while she was here, so we didn't really have time to sit down and look at what Kant had to say about enlightenment and things like that. And enlightenment is something that I talk about sometimes, and it would have been a nice discussion for the two of us to have, but we just didn't have time to do it. The other suggestion was something that we were considering, and the other suggestion was to talk about how our spiritual practices have evolved since the last time we had done a video together. So I had to look up when that was, and the last time that Mom and I did videos together for my personal channel was in August of 2012. I hadn't seen her in a year and a half. She moved in December of 2012. So August of 2012 was the last time we posted videos on my channel together, and that was from when we went to Lilydale. There were 2 videos from that day, and then also shortly after that when we went to see the big statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Windsor, Ohio with my grandmother. But then we posted videos together on my mom's channel in October of 2012. So generally from around August, October 2012 was the last time I saw her. So we did start talking about how our spiritual paths have evolved, but actually, now for those of you who don't know her channel is Rev Rose B1. My mother is on YouTube. She's not the most comfortable with, she's not used to it like I am. She hasn't been doing videos for as long as I have, so you give her a topic like that, and she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean evolved? So I wanted to do a video with her on this. We ended up not having time to do it either, but I wanted to bring it up because I made a list of the ways that I wanted to bring up that my spiritual practice has evolved since the last time I saw my mother. And her initial reaction was actually like, I'm blank years old, how much more can I evolve type thing. But of course you can. Everyone's always learning and growing. But the point that I wanted to bring up that we were discussing just amongst ourselves, my mother and I, was that I thought it would be valuable for you guys to know that even though everyone is always learning and progressing, and Mom has had some recent pretty cool experiences with her spirit communication and things like that, which she said she will be doing videos about, I thought it would just be beneficial for you to realize that even though she's my mom and we're very close and everything, not everyone is constantly learning about and developing and creating their spiritual path the way that I am and the way that a lot of you are as well. Some people just do what they do when they do it, and it's not a constant progression for them. So my mom doesn't feel like her spiritual practice has evolved at all since the last time I saw her, although she definitely visited a few different churches while she was out in Arizona. They were going to something called a cowboy church for a while, and I wanted her to check out a UU church out there, but the closest one is over an hour away, and that's not a drive that she can make, especially since she didn't have a vehicle for a lot of the most recent time. But anyway, she has done some recent cool things with her spirit communication. She actually went up to someone who was a stranger that she got a message for in public and told them this message, and it really helped them. So that's something that she had never done before. So she's going to be doing videos about that. I hope you'll check those out. Mom, now that I've told people you have to do them. But I do want to talk about some things that have changed for me. So these are not really in any particular order, but what I did is I looked back at my blog and what I posted about on my blog, and then I also looked at my personal mirror books and books of shadows type things, my journaling that I constantly do. That's another point that I want to make. My mom has probably done a lot of things with her spiritual practice that could be considered evolution and forward movement, but the fact that she doesn't journal them constantly like I do means that maybe she forgot about it. Maybe she just kind of let it slip by and didn't really think about it. But if she had that kind of reminder, then it would be like I did. I didn't feel like, I was like, okay, well, there's a few things I could think of off the top of my head, but then when I went back through my journals, I was like, oh yeah, this and this and this, and all this other cool stuff that has evolved since last time I saw my mom. So, that scared me. I was accidentally drawing on my notepad every time that I just pressed that. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a new phone. So one of the first things that I looked at in my blog since August, October of 2012 that changed for me was I started thinking a lot more about my concept of deity and how I relate to deity and how I worship deity. So that's something that has changed a lot, sort of changed my approach to it, and I did a lot more of connecting with deity basically after I graduated and after that summer of 2012. I read a book called The Killian Star, which was written by a friend of my mother's and mine, Allison Denny. She's actually still lives in town, and she sometimes comes and has tea where I work. And after reading that book, I realized that I was able to get messages from the universe in a totally new way, which I think was because of the book, because the way that the characters in the book receive messages is how I was then praying and received a message visually. I saw pictures flashing through my head, which is something that I've never experienced before, but is how the characters do it in the book. So that just opened up a whole new option for me of how to receive messages. So I attribute that to that book. Also, I did go through, I had a couple of blog posts about enlightenment and just the meaning of the term, or the meaning of the quote from the Dalai Lama that your enlightenment rests on your own shoulders. And, you know, that the idea that I am responsible for my own enlightenment. You guys have heard me talk about that before. Hold on, I'm receiving a phone call. Okay, sorry about that. This video is already long and I got a phone call. So just ideas about enlightenment and what enlightenment means to me. I did a blog about how I had spoken to someone about whether magic had anything to do with science, in the way that, like, some people think that science is better because you can repeat the experiment and achieve repetitive results. But actually, and I had done a lot of research with my stereotyping and prejudice class about empirical research, and actually I feel like the way that we do with magic, like how we journal and record things and we write down, this is what I did, this is what I experienced, and then we choose, okay, like this type of magic worked for me, this type didn't. That is very similar to how we do empirical research and the way that studies are done. The thing is, it's not universally repeatable because each person is different, and I don't think that's a cop-out. I think that's just the way it is. Nature is diverse. So, but I did a blog about that, so I thought that that idea was something that was a fairly big evolution in my practice. I also started facilitating, teaching, attending magic class at my church, which now is defunct because it kind of lost interest after we did our first ritual. We took a break over the winter because no one wanted to drive out there in the snow, and then no one's really been interested in coming back. So it's kind of not a thing right now, but we're going to probably just set up like, oh, okay, we want to do this ritual at this time, and then we'll work backwards and plan the ritual and just do it ritual by ritual instead of having an actual class or an ongoing group for learning, which is what I really wanted, but kind of got to be where like 2 or 3 people were showing up every time, and no one wants to drive all that way and spend all that time and energy if no one's going to be there. I also started attending, first of all, I started attending my UU church in August of 2012, but then shortly after that I started attending a small group with my friend Moon, which is just sort of an informal study group type thing. So this is the first time that I ever worked with other people, was after the last time I saw my mom. And then I met and interviewed and spoke with Lenora Henson, author of the Wicked Garden series, which was really great, and so I got to talk to her about archetypes. And then when I thought about it, a couple months before that, there were some archetypes practically screaming at me to pay attention, and I'm one of those people who's always like, well, I don't know, I need another sign first. So archetypes became a really big thing around the time that I talked to Lenora, where she kind of helped me realize it anyway. I also learned about runes that summer that I worked at the medieval fair, so that would be last summer, which was a new thing. I wasn't really that familiar with runes before, and so learning about them and selling them and working with them really brought that to be a larger part of my practice. I did my first ever oracle card reading for a stranger at Cleveland Pagan Pride. You know, someone that I had never met before, just sat down, gave them a reading. First time I had ever done that. I participated in my first big group ritual at Cleveland Pagan Pride last year as well. I did some working of my own through more advanced type books that had activities to do over certain periods of time. I went through the 12 Wild Swans by Starhawk and Hilary Valentine, and then also by Land, Sky, and Sea, 3 Realms of Shamanic Witchcraft by G'day Parma, who is a friend of our friend Brendan from Pagan Perspective. And then lastly, last October, after having done 12 Wild Swans and Land, Sky, and Sea, I decided that I wanted to do sort of a next step in my path, which would be to ask people to give me challenges for the upcoming year, spiritual challenges. So I asked some of my YouTube friends to do that, and I have been working on a few different challenges throughout 2014. So clearly we're only partway through 2014, I mean. So I haven't really completed any of them yet, because a lot of them are ongoing. One of them I think I've completed, but I'm just kind of keeping it open just in case anything else develops with that by the end of the year. And there are a couple that are just like short, specific time things. I haven't done those yet. So, but that's something I've been working on since the last time I saw my mom in 2012. So, Mom, there are some examples of the ways that my spiritual path has evolved. If any of those prompt you and you want to do a video about this later, because people wanted us to talk about it, next time I think I'll make a video asking you guys for suggestions for videos, because I think a lot of you don't necessarily look at the Facebook or the Twitter or anything like that, but I was hoping for some more little suggestions that could be quick things that we could do together, because those topics were so great. They were great topics. They're just kind of big and needed more time. Obviously, this is a long video, and my mom wasn't really prepared to do those. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time I see ya. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.